Hello, and welcome to Central Booking, where writers and readers are the authority. I'm your host, John Valeri. Today on Central Booking, a return visit with the deviously delightful Yasmin Angoe. Yasmin is the author of They Come at Night, the follow-up to last year's Anthony Award-nominated debut novel Her Name is Knight. That book introduced assassin Nena Knight, who reinvented herself after a brutal attack on her small Ghanaian village claimed the lives of her family and friends. Nena is now part of an elite business syndicate known as the Tribe, whose goal is to unify Africa. But when a secret mission goes deadly wrong, Nena realizes that she and her new family are not only vulnerable to outside threats, but to enemies from within. And the truth of this betrayal may just bring her to her knees. Yasmin is a first-generation Ghanaian American whose stories honor her family's culture. Before selling her first novel, she had a 20-year career in education, working as a middle and high school teacher and instructional coach. Yasmin also serves as a developmental editor and sensitivity reader for publishers and authors. A recipient of the 2020 Eleanor Taylor Bland Award for Emerging Writers of Color from the Sisters of Crime, she is a proud member of that organization, as well as Crime Writers of Color, Mystery Writers of America, and the International Thriller Writers. They Come at Night was selected as an Amazon Books editor's Best Books of September in the category of Mystery, Thriller, and Suspense. Publishers Weekly praised, "This action-packed novel drives towards an explosive conclusion. Determined to survive devastating loss and mete out justice, Nena is a heroine readers will embrace." Now, join us as I go between the lines with Yasmin Angoe. Fair warning, your TBR pile is about to grow. Hi everybody, welcome back to Central Booking. Today I am in the virtual company of Yasmin Angoe, who is the author of the Anthony Award nominated Her Name is Knight, and also the brand new Nena Knight novel, They Come at Night. There is the gorgeous cover, and you can also see it behind Yasmin. So welcome back to the show, Yasmin. It's nice to have you here again.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice being back and having you ask me back, John. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. As I was saying before we started recording, you are a brave soul. You are among the very few who have come back for, my personal kind of torture, the Grand Inquisition again. But we're going to have some fun with you today. We're going to mix things up a little bit.
Okay.
But of course, before we get to the whole new Between the Lines recurring feature, I do want to ask you about your new book, They Come at Night. It comes out on September 13th, so very, very soon, and even sooner when people see this video. So really, really exciting. And I'm wondering if you can quickly give us your personal elevator pitch as to what Nena is up to in this new book, her second adventure.
Sure. So in this second book, Nena Knight is up against this mysterious foe that is threatening to take down the tribe. And, that is the organized, I won't say organized crime, but it is the clandestine group that she works for that are for the betterment of African people. And so there is an unknown force that is kind of chipping away at them and just trying to take their territories and things like that. And I'm really, really bad at pitches, John, so I don't know why. And I practice too, and then it just flies out so I'm sorry. This is all part of the pitch, everybody. So just understand that that's what you're going to get from me. So anyway, so as everything escalates, Nena's really got to root out who it is, where they're coming from, and what do they want, which is to destroy the tribe and make it their own. And she's going to have to do it by any means necessary to protect the people that she loves, including her Knight family, who they are coming after as well.
Right. And I have to say, I loved the first book so much. And I will say to people, who read and enjoyed that book, everything you loved about that book, you will find in this book. And it's just you up the ante and up the ante and up the ante. And it's like, oh my goodness. And I have to say, you do such a brilliant job of balancing action and emotion. And I feel like that can be a really hard thing to do, but you get a bit of everything, which is nice because it balances out the book beautifully because you get really hyped up on the action, but then you get taken into Nena's inner world as well. And that sort of calms things down a bit, and it makes her really dynamic, and you really relate to her as a character. So I wanted to say that I really enjoyed, coming back to this character and seeing her in a new adventure. It does, continue what began in Her Name is Night. And so my next question to you is actually going to be about that. I think that, writing book two in a series can probably be a very tricky thing. So I would assume, in some cases, it's a bit easier because you have characters that are familiar to you and a setup that's familiar to you, but now you have to take everything from book one, continue it on, welcome new readers, satisfy people who are coming back for book two, and all doing all of this with deadlines and contracts and readers' expectations. So can you tell us a bit about how writing book two compared to writing book one for you?
Wow, that's a tough question. And it's funny because I actually wrote a little something on that on Writers Unboxed about that. Writing the second book is super hard. And it especially is hard, or I'm going to say the second book in the series, but just the second book period, because when I started writing book two, this was in early of last year. So book one hadn't even come out yet. So I didn't even know if people were going to like it. It hadn't even gone to like reviewers like yourself or anything like that. So I was like, I'm writing blind right now because I don't know what people will like or not like about it. And so I'm just going to write what I think and what Nena thinks should happen in this next one. And hopefully people, will still love it. Hopefully people will love the first one or first of all, so that they'll even want to read the second one. So it was really hard, and it affected my writing a bit because there was a whole lot of self-doubt and a whole lot of, I just don't know what to go with, and where to go because I don't have any feedback from everyone. But I pushed through it, and I had to really learn to not think about everyone else and to write for myself. And to write how I did with the first one, which is write something that I just knew I was going to love. And that is, I love Nena and I love her complexity. And I love that she's so, badass and everything, but I just love that she's also so deep. And so I just kind of like tried to funnel that in there. But I also knew that there was a whole lot that happened in the first book. And so I didn't want, someone who picks up the second book to be totally lost and not know why things are the way they are and who are these people, and but I also, for people who have read it, didn't want to regurgitate information that they already have been through in the first one. So a lot of layering and a lot of like balancing how much to put in versus how much to take out, to keep out, and things like that. It was a lot, and so thankfully, I was able to do that. And then also with the help of my developmental editor over at Thomas and Mercer, Caitlin, we were able to really streamline everything and make it nice and pretty for everyone.
Sure. So if you read the first book and loved it, you will love this book just as much, if not more. And if you haven't read the first book, this is a great introduction to that. You will not be lost, but I shall warn you, you're going to want to go back and read the first book. You will. And if you want to learn more about Her Name is Night, or Nena Knight, the character, or really Yasmin's journey to becoming a published author, I am going to drop the link to our first interview that we did when Her Name is Night out. I will leave that in the video description because we had a really, really great discussion then. But also, I had the great privilege of profiling you for the current issue of Mystery Scene magazine. So if you want to know so much more about Yasmin, and particularly They Come at Night, that issue of Mystery Scene is available online or in stores right now, so you got to go get it. And now I'm going to have all kinds of fun with you because anybody who's tuning in and knew me way back when, which is probably nobody or like maybe one person, I don't know. I used to write a column called Hartford Books Examiner for examiner.com, and I did that from 2009 to 2016 and got to interview so many fabulous people, and a lot of people ended up being repeat guests, many of whom wrote series. So after a while, it was like, all right, we have to start having a different discussion because how much is there really to say? And so I had a recurring feature. It was the Between the Lines questionnaire. And so I'm going to start doing that now on Central Booking. So this is a bit of a variation. And Yasmin, you were a good sport. You were my good sport guinea pig tonight. You're the first Between the Lines episode, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So if you're ready, we're just going to do some sort of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Like, I'm leaving, I'm out.
I am out of here. These rapid fire. Okay, I'm so
No,
right,
no, no. You can
right
take as
now.
long
I
as
like
you want.
if I'm like okay, okay.
No, I like it. Nope. Answer to whatever extent you would like. This is all about you, but some people may have heard these questions before. If it sounds familiar, that is probably why, if you've been on this journey with me. All right. So, question number one, taking you back to childhood. As a child, did you wear your literary lust loud and proud, or were you a closet bibliophile?
Oh, it was loud and proud. I had my books and my notebook and my big pen, my blue big pen everywhere I went. So
I love it.
yeah.
That blue Bic pen, it's ubiquitous. I think we all know that pen. And so to expand on that, then tell us, what types of books were you likely to be caught keeping company with under the covers when you were doing your reading?
Oh my gosh. Um, when I was a kid, I went from Nancy Drew to Sweet Valley and the Sweet Valley Twins and the Sweet Valley High. I mean, I read all of that. Babysitters Club, and then I graduated to Christopher Pike and R.L. Stein, and I mean, just anything that I could get my hands on, like I read. To Kill a Mockingbird, anything that they gave us at school, I was reading that, but mostly it was like the Christopher Pikes and the Sweet Valley. I was obsessed with the Sweet Valley High twins, and I just wanted to kind of be Jessica and I think Elizabeth was their names. And so I just wanted to be them, and I thought they were really cool.
Well, now they want to be you. I dare to say, you know. But yeah, I had a similar journey. It all started with Nancy Drew. She was like my gateway book. And I did. I loved the R.L. Stein, the Christopher Pike, and then it was Mary Higgins Clark. But I have to tell you, I always thought that like Nancy Drew and I were going to end up together. And people were like, you understand that she's a fictional character, right? And what? She's so real to me. But, you know, here we
And then
go.
the little like the relationship she kind of had with one of the Hardy Boys. I think it was just
Yes.
Ruby. See, so I was like, oh my God, I was waiting for them to get together. I was so excited.
I know. And then it was like, what happened to poor Ned, you know, and all this stuff. And I have to say, I don't think I ever read the Sweet Valley High books, but there was a TV show. And I remember that I used to watch that after school. And it was really kind of like fun and teeny and a bit tawdry, which I think maybe more so than the books. But I don't know. I might have to go back and, you know, read them.
That
All right.
was
So
yes.
so now that you've told us what you were reading then, can you tell us a bit about what you're reading now or what you've read recently and what your initial impressions of that or those books has been?
Right. Okay. So currently, 'cause I gotta look at my phone real quick. But like currently, I'm reading Heat 2, right, by Meg Gardner and Michael Mann, and I'm almost. It's a kind of big book, so I'm almost done with it. But like that, it's a pretty wild ride. I watched the movie with Al Pacino, and then I was like, oh yeah, okay, the book is coming out. I'm gonna read it. So what I love about the book is that the narrator, at the parts that Al Pacino played, he sounds like Al Pacino. So, like in the book, the actual character sounds like the actor. So it's like Al Pacino is reading, his line or he's saying his lines to me and things like that. It's just the funniest thing ever. I was like, that sounds like Al. Look how I'm saying Al like I know him personally. I will, but so yeah, so it's that one, and then I think the one I read before that was Nowhere Man with Greg Hurwitz.
Right.
Yeah, so like I just finished reading that too, so that was pretty interesting.
Excellent. My TBR pile is growing. I feel like I keep seeing Heat too, and I'm like, one, you can't go wrong with Meg Gardner or Michael Mann, and you put them together, and what?
I mean, it's
Okay.
enthralling. I'll sit in the car and still, because I listen to audiobooks because I
Mhm.
do so much writing that reading it to me feels like work. So I
Right.
listen to it. I like a story told to me. And so I'll stay in the car and just be listening. And I'm just like, man, what's going to happen next? I can't believe it. It's a page turner.
I guess I should have warned people your TBR pile is just going to grow and grow and grow, but there are worse problems to have, I think. All right. So, what one book or author do you always recommend to other people when asked?
Oh wow, there's so many, but I always recommend my friend S.A. Cosby. Razor Blade Tears. All of his books are great. And then Alex Segura, who has Secret Identity. Those were great. Kelly Garrett, Like a Sister, and then Wanda Morris, all her little secrets. I really enjoy all of those books. So, oh, and then Walter Mosley is another one that I will always recommend. The Prodigal Son, I believe, is one that I read from him, and that was amazing.
Those are outstanding recommendations. And I have to say, you talked about Alex Segura's Secret Identity, and that was one of those books, like I've never been a comic book person. And I read that book and like went crazy for comic books. It's
Right?
right.
Right?
Yeah. It was
Oh my gosh. I was like, okay, Alex, I really was like side-eye. I don't know about comics, but now I'm like for life. I'm a fan. Yes, absolutely. He did that.
damn you, Alex. But those were outstanding recommendations. The pile grows more and more. All right. So let me ask you this on the sort of opposite end of the thing is the opposite end of the thing. I'm so great with English, you know, the opposite end of the spectrum.
You know,
Um,
I'm an English teacher, so I'm like,
I
John.
know I cannot talk like that. No, it's bad, John. If I had a ruler, I'd slap myself with it. But little wrist slapping right there. You can't get away with that anymore. But so you were telling us about the books or authors that you always recommend. So sort of switching gears, are there books or authors that you have always meant to read that you've wanted to read and somehow you just haven't gotten around to it yet? What might those books or authors be?
Oh man, what are those books or authors? I can't even tell you an author that I meant to read because the way I am, as soon as I hear about something and want to read it, then that is what I hurry up and finish up what I'm reading. And so things get pushed back. And so my TBR, list is ridiculous. But typically if there's somebody that I really, really wanted to read, I just I can't withhold things from myself. So I give myself everything that I want.
That is probably the best
That
way
book
to
at
do
that
it.
time.
I was gonna say my whole house is like a TBR pile. Books are everywhere, the floor, the table. It drives my wife
Right.
crazy. But
Right.
again, I say it could be other things, it could be a worse problem. All right, fair enough. I liked that answer. If you feel the need to read it, you just scuttle it right to the top, which is terrific. All right, this question may or may not have an obvious answer because you have two books out now. So I was going to say, which of your own books would you recommend that readers read if you had to choose one book? And that might actually be a difficult question at this point in time because obviously Her Name is Night. It's book one. It's the debut. It sets everything up. But you are just now introducing book two, They Come at Night, to the world. So of course you want to say that. So I'm interested to see how you answer this question. It's probably really difficult for somebody who just has two books in a series.
I know, right? I haven't got two. And I think you need to read both of them. I think I can't even push one over the other. But to be honest, I am a person who likes an origin story. And
Hmm.
so I think the first one, which is on this side, is the origin story. And it really sets everything up for you, for the reader, about Nina and why she is this assassin, because that is a job that is not a normal job that everyone has, and so she has it, and there is a reason, and I think you would like to know why and really kind of immerse yourself in that, and then go to the second one. So you can't read one without the other. You got to read both. But if you had to start, definitely start with the first or start with the second and then go back. Because remember, we're not denying ourselves anything. We're just going to read them all.
That's right. I was going to say, whichever one you read, you're going to want to read the other if you haven't. So good answer. I like that. You played that well. I knew you would. All right. So let me ask you this. Is there a book or an author that readers of your books might be surprised to know that you really, really enjoyed? I mean, we get the sense that you read a lot of mystery, suspense, thriller, but are there other things that you enjoy that are sort of outside that realm that people might say, oh, wow, I wouldn't have expected that of you?
Yeah. Okay, so let me think here. I really am a big fan of Kimberla Lawson Roby, and she writes like Christian African American books and things like that. So you might be surprised that I would read, Christian books that are, kind of a little bit wholesome and things like, really, romance and stuff. I read
Right.
romance, just to, like cleanse my palate a little bit, for someone who writes about, shooting and killing people and things like that. But also, I really, really love horrors. And I will scare myself bleepless, because I just love a horror movie like nobody's business. And so, like, my go-tos, oh, wait, have you even asked me that question? Can I say that? Can I just go
Yeah, go
right on?
go there.
Okay, yeah. So my go-tos, for horror, especially, is Stephen King, because who
Mm,
doesn't love Stephen King? And he's another one that I'm gonna meet, and he might not think so, but he is gonna meet me, and he's gonna love me. And also, I like, I think his name is Grady Hendrix. He wrote,
mm,
My Best Friend's Exorcism. I
right.
just like totally enthralled with that book. I think that was such a brilliantly, written book, and the concept was so great. And that was like one book that really scared the bejesus out of me. And I think if I can be scared, because I typically am not so much, with horrors and things, then that means that's a pretty damn good book. And so between, Stephen King and Grady Hendrix, I think is his name, and
Yep.
then, also, Toni Morrison. I love, her books. And so when I it just depends on how I feel at the time. If I want to get really deep and introspective and have something that just makes me cry and really think about like my life, then I'm going to read Toni Morrison and all of that. And then if I want a thrill, I'm going to read, like, or I guess a scare, Stephen King, because I think he's just like a literary master. I can go on and on. I just love all the books and all of the authors. I can find something to love about everybody. Well, almost everybody. I'm not gonna lie.
I love that. But hey, that makes you well read. You're all across the spectrum. That's terrific. And I love, I think I agree with you. The threshold for a horror book is if it scares me, like hats off to you because it takes a lot, but that is an achievement and it actually makes me feel like really good. Like I live for that moment. Occasionally a book will terrify me and I'll be like, that's like the gold standard.
Right, right. And the fact that I still think about, like, some elements of, everything, like from Stephen King's books, but I'm a little bit more, familiar with his stuff now, so I don't get as scared, but I still find something new every time that I listen to him. And then, like, with, My Best Friend's Exorcism, like that, and I read that, I think around Y'all Fest that they have in Charleston, and, 2 years ago. And that thing, I just remember how terrified, and I was driving and was terrified. And so that I still think about it, I'm like, man, that thing really rocked me.
Well, there you go. So if people, saw you a few years ago and thought you were driving a bit erratically, that is why.
That's
Like,
what.
audiobooks can be dangerous. They're a wonderful thing, but there's the flip side to that coin.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
and actually, this question might lend itself to what you were just saying because you said at some point, you will meet Stephen King. Stephen King will meet you. You are willing it into being, which I love. There's something to be said for that, right? Like visualization and all that. And I'm a firm believer. But so tell me, is there one author that would or did make you weak in the knees upon meeting, other than Stephen King? Because I think he would probably drop most of us to the floor. But has there been that person for you? Have you had that experience? And if not, or in addition to, who would you really look forward to having some FaceTime with?
Um, so I've only been to like a couple of things, but let's see. But R.L. Stein, I met him at Thriller Fest, earlier this year, and so that was amazing. Plus, he is hilarious. He is the funniest guy. It's just, and he's got that dry humor, and it's just like that. It's just on point. But so yeah, so that would have been like my big right now, author. Just like, oh my gosh. And then honestly, just seeing all of these other authors that I have been interacting with virtually, the ones that have become my friends, like S.A. Cosby and Kelly and Wanda and, all of them, right? Just seeing them in this one place, I was just fangirling over everybody because I just think everybody is just so like brilliant. And so, remember, John, I was like, asking you 100 times if you were going to go because I wanted to fangirl over you too, but you couldn't. And I understood. And so I'll just be waiting for the time when we can meet in real life and then I can, be fangirling over you.
You're so kind. That's why I don't show up anywhere anymore because, reality versus expectation. I figure why let people down? You can just think you're
Oh,
going
stop
to
it.
show up for me. And it's so funny you would say R.L. Stein. I met him a few times, and I think the first time probably was at Thriller Fest, and he has the driest sense of humor, and he always will tell you, this is how I type with that one finger. And then you end up asking yourself, like, is he serious? Maybe he really does only type with that one finger. I still don't know.
No, yeah, exactly. He's just, oh my gosh, I bet you he does.
I think he might. And how many books has he written? My goodness. But I have to say that I will geek out over you the day that we meet. I'm very much looking forward to it. I know that it's going to happen, but that will be a good moment for me. I would run Stephen King over to get to you.
Oh,
Okay,
stop it. Yeah, no, keep going.
I will. All right. So let me ask you this. I know that you're, 2 books into this wonderful writing career now, but do you feel like you've had any I've made it moments? Because for some people, the moments are really big. Other people, very small. I would say you have 2 books to your name. That's pretty incredible. But do you have any specific, notches on that belt where you say, all right, I really made it and I felt it at this moment, or is there something you're still striving for? Like, do
It's
you have a threshold?
Yeah, no, I think it's something that I'm still striving for, only because it's been so long in obtaining it that it doesn't even now that we're talking, again, and we've talked several times and things like that, and this is my second book, even now it still doesn't feel 100% real. And I feel like I'm gonna wake up and, be Yasmin with no books out and, still teaching and nothing, you know what I'm saying? So it's always, and I think that I do that also to kind of keep me humble because we Ghanaians, we don't like to be, boastful and be like, oh yeah, we're big time, because I'm not. But I'm just very, very humble and thankful for what I have. And I don't know that I will ever like feel like, oh yes, this is my I made it moment. Now moments that make me feel closer, like really good about, wow, I've achieved this thing, are when I hear from, when I'm talking to friends like you, when I'm hearing from readers about how they feel about the book and how the book made them feel, when they email me and just like talk about the book with me, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like you really like this thing. That makes me feel really great. And so that's not an aha moment, but that's just a wow, that's awesome moment for me. And so I really live for those moments.
Isn't that amazing to know that you're sharing this world that you created with other people and they're so invested? That's got to be wild.
Yeah, like I'm like, you guys really are in my brain literally, and you're okay with it. You don't think I'm weird. So I'm thank you for that.
I love it. So, do you have a great literary ambition? Is there one thing above all else that you would like to achieve?
Yeah, I would love to like write like a TV series or a movie or something like that, because I just think that that's just, I'm like, I'm already a visual writer, and I know those are two totally different, skill sets. Writing a novel versus, I'm pretty wordy too, so they're gonna have a time. They would have a time with me, but I would never want to like deny myself. Like I said, I give myself everything, so I want to try, all these things that I've always envisioned. And I really enjoy, watching TV and movies a lot. I'm a big, TV and movie buff, and I love a story. I'm just such an advocate of a good story. That is, my lineage of, from the Ghanaian African culture period is where we tell such stories, and I would like to do that, eventually one day, just to try, and say I tried it, it didn't work, or it did, and then to move on to the next thing.
Sure.
Did
Well,
I
I'm
answer
just
the
going to
question?
say, I think like Nina would transfer very well to the screen, don't you think? I mean, I could totally see her on the big screen taking
Yes.
names and kicking
And
ass.
all that, yeah, yeah. I mean, well, they're still working on the script for that, for it to be a TV series.
Nice.
Which, there's a lot of story to tell. So I really appreciate that they're doing that, as opposed. But I could also see her, on the big screen, and it just be like enthralling and stuff like that. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. And I'll definitely be taking my notes and learning from there, and then moving on to see what I can do later on down the line.
Well,
Way later on down the line, after I've like filled this whole shelf up with.
that's right. All right, that's when the bookshelf is full. So then you move on to something else because we readers are not going to let you get away that easy. You're just going to have to kind of do both. What's a little more balancing? I mean, your whole life is balanced. Just throw a few more balls into the air and juggle, juggle, juggle.
Thank you. Yes, I would love that.
All right. Well, I will be looking forward to the day. All right. So now we're going to do a bit of reflection. So can you tell me how your life in reading and in writing has informed the way that you live?
Huh. You mean has taken over the way that I live?
Yeah, that.
Oh, that's how it is now. My daughter, and I'll give you, my daughter said, Monday is Labor Day. And I said, oh, yeah, does that mean you're off from school? And she says, yeah, and you're off from work. And I'm like, yeah, no, there's a thing called deadlines. I'm not off from work. So writing definitely has taken over my life. It's probably taken over their lives. And I do need to be a little bit more conscientious of stepping away to make that time for everyone else, even though I have deadlines. And then reading, that has always taken over my life. And it is the thing that keeps me sane. If they don't want me to bite their heads off, they're going to let me listen to my audiobook while I'm cooking, especially if they want some food from me. They better let me listen to a story while I'm doing it. So like they just totally, inform my life. There's always a story going on in my head, whether I'm actually writing it, I'm preparing it, to write it, I'm marinating over it, or I'm listening to someone else's story, or I'm just daydreaming. I daydream a lot. So I guess I just live in story worlds. I don't know.
Well, there you go. I mean, I think people are getting the idea. If you're a reader, a writer, or a reader-writer, it's kind of all consuming. So, but again, my mantra for the evening could be worse things, and I think it teaches you so much about life. And when you can't leave your house, you can still exist, in another world, whether it's a world of your own making or somebody else's. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So we are coming to the end. And of
Oh,
course, I have to ask you if you can leave us with a little teaser of what comes next, because, I was stalking your social media pages as I do sometimes, benignly, of course. And I saw, the end that you've just finished the third Nena book, or at least some draft of it. So I'm wondering if maybe you can just dole out a little morsel of what people like me who've already read 1 and 2, what might we expect in book 3? Because, we're going to have to wait a year now.
yeah. Well, she definitely gets into some more shenanigans.
Hmm.
But so Nena, by book 2, she's kind of reeling from and like dealing with the things from like 1, and so in book 3 she is in this in this space where she's really got to like settle in with where she is now, within the tribe and within her life, and she's got to make some decisions that she didn't think that she would have to make, and she really didn't want to. And so it's all kind of based around, the more responsibilities you get, the more difficult the decisions you have to make, whether you like them or not. And so she's just going to be faced with some choices that she's not too sure she can handle. So she's got a little bit of doubt, this assassin here, but she may or may not figure it out. I don't know. We don't know.
And that's why there will be a book 4. But oh my gosh,
More lips.
that's right. But doesn't it just make you think? I mean, we see it with Nena too. We all think when we're young, like adulthood is the great liberator. And then you reach adulthood and you're like, oh my gosh, responsibilities and consequences to everything, and nothing's ever easy. So,
Yep.
but we have our books to fall into. And lucky readers out there, they can catch Her Name is Night, or of course, They Come at Night, which is coming your way very, very soon. Yasmin Angoe, thank you so much for going between the lines with me. And it was such a pleasure, a privilege to see you again.
Thank you, John.
That's it for this episode of Central Booking. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a thing.